Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another Burlingame. It's a small town podcast sponsored by the Burlingame Historical Society. This is Mark Lucchese, also known as Mark at the Mic, and my guest today is, I got to tell you about this. Not only is he the general manager of one major hotel, he's the general manager of two major hotels, the Embassy Suites, located in South San Francisco and here in Burlingame. My guest today, Fettah Aydin. Fettah, thank you so much for being a guest today on Burlingame. It's a small town podcast.
Thank you, Mark. Very excited to be here.
Hey, listen, man, we're going to jump into this interview in just a moment, but I got to tell you one thing. I love walking into these beautiful, large hotels, and the first thing that hits me is the aroma, the fragrance. I don't know what you're doing, but it's working for me. I think it's a great feeling when you walk in. It's warm in the hotel, but you get that wonderful scent. What is that?
Well, we specifically prepare it for you, Mark. We know that when Mark is going to walk into the building, and we prepare it just for you.
Yeah, right. I get it. We tried that in supermarketing as well, with the bakery going and the pies and maybe something going on in the deli. But it's hard to sustain it. You guys have it rolling 24/7. I'm blown away by that.
Yeah,
I really am.
Well, thank you. We try very hard, and then we clean it nonstop, and we spray it nonstop, and that's just part of the hotel's culture, as you said it.
Definitely tell it feels great and smells great. Anyway, let's get on to this little conversation we're going to have.
Let's do it.
You have made several moves in your career before landing here in Burlingame. Minneapolis, Atlanta, Portland, Sacramento, and you're currently the general manager of not just one, but two Embassy Suites, Burlingame and South San Francisco. Have the moves been hard on your family?
It is getting harder as the years moves on. When I started my career with Hilton at Minneapolis, and moving from Minneapolis to Atlanta was no problem. We did not have any kids. Once we had our first daughter, then it got a little bit challenging. But once I get to the school age, which is about Sacramento, to coming in here was a little bit more challenging. Without kids, I would say not as challenging, maybe a little bit an adventure. With kids, it's a little bit more challenging.
I would think so. So let me just ask you this, and I don't want to get you in any trouble, but if the execs from the Hilton came down tomorrow morning and said, Fettah, we'd like to move you, how's that conversation going to go?
It's going to be very challenging. First off, Burlingame is a beautiful city. We've been here for 7 years now. We're loving every bit of it. Kids walk into McKinley is unbelievably beautiful. My other two loves BIS, looking for BHS, maybe Crystal. The town has a lot going on. But if they come and tell me that, hey, we want you to go to X city and run these phenomenal other hotels, it'll be a tough conversation, but we'll definitely have it as a family.
Great. That's great to hear. Hard to make a move. I know that you kind of feel like, I feel like you kind of hit the lottery when you came down here to the Bay Area, the Peninsula, Burlingame. I mean, and so tell me something. How did you end up managing two hotels?
Well, as you know, the COVID pandemic has changed all of our lives dramatically. The Burlingame Hotel, almost an institution. Everybody that I talk to in Burlingame knows where the hotel is. They know the history better than I do. Has been performing phenomenally well over the course of the years. And when the pandemic hit, certainly we've seen a big drop in business, but we did not close our doors. We continued working, even though some other larger hotels in town did. So the South San Francisco hotel was not as fortunate. Their business level dropped down to a level where it did not make sense to operate it. So the people that owns the hotel had decided that, hey, it doesn't make sense. We're going to close this one down. They closed it. We operated the Burlingame Hotel. When it was time to reopen it, business levels are still very weak for hotel industry, particularly last year. We're picking up immensely this year. They decided that, can you run it too until the business comes back to normal levels? And that's how it happened. So we opened up the doors of that hotel in January 21, and running them concurrently since then.
Boy, challenging time for you.
It definitely is.
Yeah. When you first started in the hotel industry, what's something that was more challenging than you expected?
I expected that we will have customers, and each customer is different. Their expectation is different, that would be challenging. But as I grew in my career, as I became a supervisor and a manager, then I realized that just like most service industry, hospitality industry, hotel industry is people serving people. And each team member is different, just like the customers. So dealing with different individualities of every single person that works at the hotel and every single person that visits the hotel, every vendor is a person, they have their personalities. I did not expect that. There is nowhere to hide.
Yeah, they don't put that in chapter 1, do they?
You got that
No,
right.
they don't put that in chapter 1 at all. What's a commonly held belief about being the general manager of a large hotel that you really disagree with? Now, I'm just going to give you an example of myself in the grocery business. Everybody thinks that, geez, he must get his groceries free, or he must get a free lunch every day. Well, that just doesn't happen. I pay just like everybody else.
You don't?
We get
I had no idea. I thought you did get it for free.
Oh, yeah. We get a little employee discount, which is nice, but
Yeah.
there's no freebies. So that's kind of a commonly held belief. A lot of people think that I get a free this or a free that. There's no free ride. Anything like that with you?
Luckily, just like you in the grocery industry, we do get discounts on hotel stays, which we appreciate it very much. It's one of the bigger selling points of the hotel industry, frankly. When we're hiring team members, we tell them that, hey, you want to go to Hawaii? As long as it's available, you can stay at a steep discount. So that's true. One commonly held misconception, I would say, is the guests, when they arrive and they ask for something, say that be for our Burlingame hotel, the bayfront room where you can see the airplanes land and take off, or a king room or a double room or a connecting room, you just name it, a request. And when the answer is no, I'm sorry, Mr. Lucchese, we just don't have a king available, people always think that that's not the truth. That I have something in my back pocket, but I'm not going to give it to you. That's not the case. I am there to sell what I have, which is a sleeping room. If I have it, I'd be happy to give it to you. I have no reason to hold anything back. So I wish that people would know that. It's not my personal hotels. I'm here to service you. If I have it, it's yours.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so speaking of personal hotel, do you and the family live at the hotel?
We do not. Probably about 15 or so years ago, Hilton general managers did stay in the hotel. They had a special suite for them. And that program has changed as the occupancies in the country has increased. Naturally, the hotels make money by selling sleeping rooms. It just did not make sense for hotel owners and Hilton to essentially allocate or take 3, 4, 5 rooms out of order to give it to a general manager. So they stopped that program, and then we do not live in hotels anymore. And I will have to be honest, recently with the storms, we had some damage in our home, and we did stay at the hotel for a few days. It really is not fun. It's not like vacationing. You have to get your kids' books and pencils and homeworks and clothes, and you're always in the eyes of the team members. The team members are always seeing you and watching you, and you can't just run to your backyard with your shorts on. It's just not a possibility. So even if I had the option, I'm not sure if I would prefer to do that. I think it's much better to be a little bit away from the work.
I definitely
few hours a day.
understand that. I definitely get that, yeah. Looking back 2 or 3 years now, at the actually it's March, I think about 3 years now, the pandemic, what was the biggest challenge you faced?
The team members, as our occupancies dropped down, we naturally we did not need all the team members. We did not need all the servers. We did not need all the cooks. We did not need all the housekeeping, all the purchasing agents, all the sales team members, all the front desk agents, and you name it. And myself included on this idea, I thought that, a couple of months. This will pass. It's another strain of flu or something, right? It'll go. We'll be okay. As the month went on and the pandemic did not stop and it didn't relent, then getting phone calls from team members saying that I need it. I need to come back. What do you have? I don't care. I'll do anything. just get me back. That was very difficult. I had no work opportunity for them to get him back to the building, to get him to work. And as this stretched on for months and years, it just became very difficult.
Was anybody coming to the hotel at that time? I mean, you were getting some occupancy, I guess.
We were. So we had, I remember this very well. We went down from 127 employees down to 17 employees.
Well, that's frightful.
It was very, very challenging times.
Yeah. So now that things are kind of coming back, the employees that you had a couple of years ago, have they moved on to other places, or do you see some of those people coming back to the hotel, some of the employees, team members?
Yeah, but we call them team members.
Right.
I think every company has their own choice of
Yeah.
words. Some calls them employees, some team members. We call them team members. We are all team members. 2/3 of our team members came back. About 1/3 of them has moved on to different. Most of them moved on to younger generation, particularly back to home or where they were from. So they left the area. There's a few that found different lines of jobs, but I'm very proud that 2/3 of them is back at work, and a few of them essentially wherever they were working at, they quit that job. They came back to work for us again, which I was very happy to hear and see.
Great, that's good to hear. I know that normal is kind of an odd word to use, but and Burlingame relies a lot on the hotel tax to fund the city. How are the hotels doing today?
We are definitely building back up. Last year, summer months was very good. We have enjoyed the summer immensely, and we thought that we are finally out of this crazy time, and we're back on the saddle. As the schools opened up September, October, we realized that we weren't quite clear of the craziness. With that, January, February always is quiet times for us. Winter months are never phenomenally well. We are seeing an uptick on business with green shoots, I'd call it. The grass is just germinating. It just keep coming up. I think that we will have a very good year as hotels. That should make the city happy. That'll make definitely us happy.
Yeah. Is business going okay in South San Francisco too, at that Embassy Suite?
Frankly, that one is lagging behind. The Burlingame Hotel is doing better. The reason for that is the South San Francisco Hotel is very dependent on the biotech industry. The big companies, Genentech, AbbVie, etc., has big buildings there, and they're not quite back in the office yet. So they have some lab workers in the office, but not all offices are back, and they're still working remotely, and that is not helping that hotel.
Yeah.
So they have a little bit, that hotel has a little bit longer curve of recovery, as we say it. It's going to take a little bit longer to recover, but our hotel in Burlingame is doing very well.
Good to hear. Are conventions starting to make a comeback?
Not quite yet. We have seen and heard a cancellation, as you know. The Moscone Center in San Francisco is losing some business to Las Vegas.
Yeah,
which
they
is
lost
not,
the big one, the fancy food show.
Correct. That is not ideal. But we do understand as hoteliers, most of these large conventions are cyclical. Rarely that conventions just go to the same town in perpetuity. It would be the same thing, Mark, if you said that I'm going to take my team out from Molly Stone's for a year-end party. You're not going to always take them out to the same restaurant or same hotel. You want to. You'll take them to where you love, Embassy Suites. But you probably want to jazz it up and get them to some other hotel at some point, because they'll get bored to going to the same place. So though it's a little bit concerning that we're losing some big conventions to Las Vegas, we also do understand that it's cyclical. They'll go there, they'll experience for a year or two, and then they'll come back in here, stay longer. Yeah. It's just, again, the recovery curve without having that phenomenal citywide convention business will just be longer. If all the conventions were back, we'd probably be back next year in 24. Without them, probably 25, 26, maybe even 27, we'll be back on the saddle.
Long comeback.
Long recovery period.
So with 100% occupancy being the goal, and that's wonderful, I'm sure there's a package of issues that comes with that. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the issues that come with when the hotel is fully packed?
From an ownership point of view, operating point of view, 100% occupancy is really difficult because there is always a canceled flight somewhere. That person is just not going to show up. And there is always a chance that we were expecting one room, but all of a sudden it's going to be 2 rooms because the guest is going to say, no, I got 4 kids. I can't be in one room. I swear I booked 2 rooms. That's what I told the lady on the phone. So there was always these back and forth gyrations, very difficult. And just like the airlines does this, right? You go there and then all of a sudden they're looking for someone to say, hey, would you like to take the next flight the same day? So we have the same issues, same challenges. Getting that 100% occupancy is very difficult. When we do get there, then there is always other challenges. There is always someone saying that, nope, I don't want this room. Well, you've been in that room for 2 hours, Mr. Mark. I can't get you out of that room because I cannot clean it. It's 9 p.m. There is no way to clean it. No, I'm not going to stay in this room for whatever the reason. I got the bad jujus. You got to get me to a different room. I'm sold out. Nope, you got to get me. So we get you another room. Now I have a dirty room. How am I going to sell a dirty room? Right. So lots of challenges that goes into it clearly.
Yes. What are the busiest days of the week? What are the slowest days of the week at the hotel?
Historically, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, business travel weeks are very, very busy. Pre-pandemic in 19, we were essentially almost 99% sold out on those 2 dates. Sundays are always the weakest nights around the country. Most people are checked out from their Friday, Saturday staycations, and business travel do not come back on Sundays. They fly in Monday mornings, so that's a tough night for hotels.
Yeah. What's the biggest challenge the hotel industry is facing today and maybe 10 years from now?
I would have answered this question differently a few years back. Today, the challenge is team members. Entry-level team members is very hard to come by. None of the young people wants to get into hotel business and start at the bottom level as maybe we did 15, 20 years ago. You cannot find a middle school, high school, or college graduate that says that I'm looking forward to cleaning a few rooms and moving up to a housekeeping manager. Yes, that's what I'm looking forward to doing that. Or I want to work at the front desk and check people in and help them out, and I want to guide them and become a front office manager. That just doesn't exist. It's very difficult to attract those team members and retain them. And I think that 10 years down the road, it's even going to get more challenging to find those team members. So we're probably most lean onto automation, just like the airline industry did, where we don't have counter clerks anymore at airlines. We check our own luggage in, we print our own boarding pass, we scan our own boarding pass. Hotels are probably going to go that route, not because we want to, we're in the service industry, but because of the unavailable labor force.
Boy, that's real interesting.
Yeah.
That's very candid, too. Thank you for sharing that with us. So I'm a Hilton exec. I come to you this week and I say, I got great news for you, Fettah. I'm going to give you 10 times the budget that you've been used to. What are you going to use that money for?
10 times the budget, I would say this is going to go straight into our team members, whatever makes their life easy. I do sincerely believe that most service staff, hotel staff is no different, is underappreciated by the majority of the folks that uses their services. They really are. We take it for granted. We want a fast, quick service. We want things taken care of. We want everything to be perfect. We rarely think about what goes into making that happen. So whatever that may be, food, the mattress that we slept in that day, the carpet that get vacuumed, the towels that get folded. We just don't think about it. It's a towel. We grab it, we use it, and we move on. I am of sincere belief that our team members deserves more. We can give him more. That maybe we'll just get him a better ironer for the sheets, right? They don't have to work as hard to iron those sheets or towels. Or maybe it's in compensation. Maybe we can get him a little bit more money so that that puts a smile on their face. So Mark, I am hoping, wishing, praying that you will become a Hilton exec so you can bring on that 10 times more so that we can pass on the goodness.
Oh boy, I tell you. Okay, you got a lot of moving parts going on managing 2 hotels. Frankly, I'm astounded by that. But so the front desk, housekeeping, the bar and the restaurant, staffing, just to name a few. How do you keep your team motivated?
what motivates me is recognition. And I sincerely believe that most of the team members are finding recognition valuable. There are many studies, and I'm sure you've seen it yourself, that most people don't leave jobs because of compensation. The next place is giving them a little bit more green, doesn't mean that gets them there. I work very hard to walk around the building, and I try very hard to give a tap on the shoulder to people when they did something right. One of my managers had taught me when I was new in the industry that you have to have 3 pennies on your pocket. And by the end of the day, those pennies need to transfer to the other pocket. And the only way to transfer a penny from right to left, or if you find someone and if you give them a compliment. And I learned that very quickly, that unless if you are consciously looking for it, you don't see it. Just like our guest, we take it for granted. Somebody's doing something extra, going over and above at the hotel, in the kitchen, in the purchasing department, in the marketing department, in the human resources department. It's expected. If I don't give them a thank you, if I don't actively seek them and look at them and say, thank you, Mark, that was fantastic, that what you did to that person, it just goes unnoticed and you don't remember it the next day. I still obey by that rule. I don't carry the pennies, but it is my goal to every day to give our team members a compliment, saying, I give them a pat on the back, shake their hand, and say, thank you, I appreciate you.
Yeah, Fettah, I think that's great advice for anybody, getting into management or in management. We overlook the easy things sometimes. We're just so busy doing what we're doing, we forget to say, hey, thank you, nice job.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in this part. You're managing 2 hotels. How do you manage your time? How do you pull that off?
Very tough. Not enough hours.
No, I can only imagine.
I want to add a few more hours a day.
Yeah.
If we had 26-hour days,
yeah,
that would be so fantastic.
In an 8-day week. Okay.
Yes. That would be fantastic. What I try to do is every day I spend half a day in each hotel. So I spend half a day at Hotel A, 8 a.m. to noon. Then I spend the afternoon of that day from noon to 5 p.m. at the other hotel. And the next day I flip-flop it. So the AM team members that works in the morning gets to see me at that hotel. And then the PM team members gets to see me at this hotel. Then I flip-flop it. The next day, I start my day at this hotel. So now the people that works in the morning gets to see me here. And then I go in the afternoon to the other hotel. So every day I travel back and forth. I know one-on-one, every single rock, every single stripe, every single
pothole.
Yeah. I know it all.
Boy, that's a lesson in time management, though.
Yeah, it's challenging, but it's doable. If there is a will, there is a way. I love what I do, and I enjoy doing it.
Great. So in a normal work week, or a normal work month, I guess, do you find time to visit any of the local competing hotels? You walk into the Hyatt once in a while, or the Holiday Inn, the Hilton that's down the street. You go through those at all?
Unless if there is, honestly, there is a meeting or there is something going on, I rarely could make the time to go see any of the hotels. We're all friends.
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you chat with the other hotel managers?
I do. Particularly the Hilton, DoubleTree, we're same branded hotels. Both general managers are close friends. And on the other side, I'd call it definitely the Hyatt, the Marriott, and then the Westin. Mm-hmm. The 6 of us in Burlingame is very close. And
that's
we talk
a lot
often.
of hotels in Burlingame, isn't it?
We do. The 2 of the largest hotels in the Northern California is in Burlingame. That would be the Hyatt and the Marriott.
And the Marriott. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
It really is.
That's a good trivia question. I may use that.
You may. It's a true story. It is a true statement.
So we touched on this a few minutes ago. You brought it up. Hewlett-Packard coined the phrase MBWA, management by walking around. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask you, how often do you leave the office and just walk around the hotel? And you said you get out quite a bit and do that.
I do. I'll be honest with you, Mark, that there is less of it now today than before, simply because the demand on my time is higher. And unfortunately, we have invented the online meetings. Mm-hmm. So it's just so easy for people to click a few buttons and then schedule the Zoom call on a whim. So I do attend a lot of calls, a lot of meetings online. So that takes me away from the floor, but I make time for it for sure.
Great. How do you keep yourself out of work slumps or ruts? I mean, what do you do for yourself to keep yourself fired up and motivated?
I love spending time with my kids. They keep me honest. They really do. We were, as I was just telling you, that after the storms, we lost power and we had some damage, and then we stayed at the hotel. And they were just telling me exactly what they see and what they thought that was different. They reminded me that we don't make Shirley Temples anymore. We used to pre-pandemic. And I did not notice it.
Really?
So they did remind me, say, "Where's the Shirley Temple? It was on that corner." Like, oh yeah, we have it now. Back again.
See, that's great.
So that type of stuff energizes me. When a guest tells me something saying that, I stayed at XYZ place, or I was in Hawaii, Belize, wherever, and they were doing fill in the blank, and I loved it. You guys ought to look at that. Yeah. We should. I think we can do that. That sounds fantastic. I think we can do something like that. The new is always challenging, but that brings also a lot of ideas and excitement.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing, the routine, is the boring part. Doing new things, trying new things is exciting.
That's great. I want honesty on this question, okay?
All right.
When you and the family are on a vacation, are you still on? Are you checking texts, answering emails, phone calls, etc., or do you turn it off and just put it away for a week?
I wish I could say that I'm the latter, but no, I'm not. I do have rules. When I go home in the afternoon, I put my phone on silence. I put it on the nightstand, and then I go into the living room, and I won't look at it until bedtime. Whatever is happening, if it's an emergency, team will call me. I'll answer that if somebody's calling me. But outside of that, no texts, no emails, no phone calls until bedtime. So arrival home to bedtime is my family time. But before I go to bed, I do look at it.
You're checking it.
I check it. I respond back, and I, erase things, delete things, forward them on, and then I'm okay until the next morning. Again, I won't. If I wake up at night, I will not pick up.
Would
my
that
phone.
be the same way on vacation?
On vacation, pretty much the same thing, unfortunately. I do look at it when I wake up in the morning. Then we have a way of turning off our email temporarily. Thank goodness for Hilton inventing that. So I turn it off, because if it does keep dinging, and you're carrying your phone around in Disneyland, it's really hard not to look at it.
Very distracting.
So I turn it off, so no emails will come through. At night, we go home, and it's bedtime. We're going to bed after dinner in the hotel room. I turn it back on. It just rushes in.
Yeah.
And then I take a look at it and clean up a few things as best as I could. Then I go to bed, and then the cycle repeats itself.
Yeah, gosh. I guess when you guys go on vacation, you stay at an embassy suite or a Hilton?
Of course. Of course.
with that deep discount, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. A Hilton family hotel it would be. We would not stay anywhere else.
So being that you manage 2 embassy suites, are most of your team members familiar with who you are?
Well, of course, they'll know me and I'll know them. We are a close-knit family, and I'm very proud of it. We don't have a segregation. We don't have a distinction. I frankly, and the team knows this, I love it when our entry-level team members, wherever they may be, our servers or our front desk agents come into my office and literally sit down just like me and say, "Mark, we don't have toner. I can't print folios. You gotta give me toner." Like, I don't know. I'll get you toner tomorrow. I love it. So I think it's that kind of a relationship that really helps us build a close and bonding relationship.
Yeah. I have a kind of an odd question here. Complimentary breakfasts and happy hours are kind of the norm at most major hotels. Was the Embassy Suite sort of a leader in that, as I remember?
Very true. We were the first ones to invent it. Nobody else has done it the way that we're doing, and still nobody else does it the way that we're doing it today.
Yeah, I can remember that. How long has this facility here in Burlingame been around?
1986 is when it was opened its door as Crown Sterling.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And it stayed as a Crown Sterling for a short while. And the entire Crown Sterling chain, which was designed to be competing against Embassy Suites, has been purchased by the Embassy Suites brand. Mm-hmm. So the Burlingame Hotel, the South San Francisco Hotel, Milpitas Embassy Suites, and there were a few other. One is in Arizona, one in Kansas City, has all been purchased by Embassy Suites and has been converted to Embassy Suites. And I believe that was around maybe 88, 89, and it's been an Embassy Suites since then.
Boy, amazing.
Yeah.
A couple of more questions, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Thank you. What advice can you share with someone who is considering a career in hospitality management?
I would first of all say that fantastic choice, because hotels are like little towns. We have every department you can imagine, and we're very excited to have you try things, because each department that you train in, you get to help us. So we can tell you that, hey, Mark, I know you're not scheduled for front desk tomorrow. On your day off, would you like to make some overtime and help us out in finance since you got trained on there? So it works out perfectly for us. And it also keeps our team members excited. So they get to go try different things. You can do human resources, you can do media relations, you can do sales, you can do banquets, purchasing, engineering, housekeeping. So it is fantastic. It's a small town that operates all by itself independently from related to anything else outside. So it's a great career choice, I would say. That's what I have learned in my time with the hotel industry. And we don't do brain surgery, as I tell my team members often. And I also tell them that we are not curing cancer. It's people serving people. Mm-hmm. It's not a hard job.
I think as long as a person that's considering that career knows some of the pitfalls, or I don't want to call them pitfalls, but
challenges.
The challenges, there's weekends, there's evenings, there's holidays. It's a 24/7 business, not much different than the industry I came from. True. It's a commitment. It's not for everybody, but there's certainly a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, for
in
sure.
the hospitality industry.
Correct. The only thing that's required, again, we're not doing anything extraordinary where it would require immense amount of skill.
Yeah.
As long as you enjoy talking and dealing with people, and everybody does, irrelevant of what you say, we all need the human touch and connection. Hard work is the only thing that's required.
Yeah.
You just need to be willing to work hard. Put in the time and then the hours. Put your 100% effort. Put yourself in. I always tell young team members that comes in, imagine that your grandma or your grandpa is the person that's in front of you checking in or asking for something. Treat them just the way you would your grandma and grandpa. We'll be golden.
I think that's about the best advice you can give.
Yeah.
So true. Okay, so one last thing here we're going to touch on.
Absolutely.
You're married. You have 3 children.
I do.
You're on the board of directors of the Burlingame Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
But recently you got appointed to running the convention center. Is that what it was, or?
Yeah, I get elected as a chair to the Silicon Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau. We call it now the San Francisco Peninsula.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting assignment.
We're going to squeeze that time in.
I'll have to find some time. I'll have to talk to John Hutar, who is the CEO of it. Yeah. It's very exciting times. As we're coming out of pandemic, there's a lot happening in the hospitality industry and all service industry. And I really admire John Hutar, what he's trying to accomplish. And I'm honored to be elected as the chair. And I'm looking forward to contributing to their success.
Fettah Aydin, you know what? You know what we did today? We made a podcast.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being a guest, Fettah. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Fettah Aydin, General Manager for the Embassy Suites in South San Francisco and Burlingame, for being my guest today on Burlingame. It's a Small Town, podcast sponsored by the Burlingame Historical Society. Thanks to Kathy and Shelby for editing and producing, the great Ray Tyler for videotaping, and my musical director, Bray. You can hear more of Bray at bray.com. This conversation was recorded on Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. The Burlingame Historical Society copyrights this podcast, and no part of this program can be rebroadcast or copied without the permission of the Burlingame Historical Society. So until next time, everyone, see you around Burlingame. It's a small town.